Dennis, why don't you start with a bit of a squad update? How's everyone doing after Wales on Saturday?
Yeah, good. Full bill of health, which has been great. Obviously, Aviva was ruled out last week, so she's been the only person. So other than that, we've a full bill of health, which is really good and really exciting.
We've probably seen a bit more continuity in selection this year in comparison to previous years. Is that a sign that this group of players is really starting to settle and gel? Yeah,
and I think it's a sign as well that we've creating that depth that we've been, I suppose, looking for as well in the past couple of years. So there's real competition, even from a front row point of view as well. It's getting very competitive around there, and even in the midfield as well. So it's a really good sign to where we're at and where we want to get to. So yeah.
Like, this is obviously a landmark week for Irish women's rugby. You've been involved with this team for a few years now, and even going back to when things weren't going particularly well.
Yeah.
Back then, could you have envisaged that only a few years later you'd be looking at 30,000 people at Aviva Stadium?
Yeah, no, it's been quite a journey, to be honest with you. Yeah, certainly looking back then, I think it's been 4 years now where when I started out with the girls, and I was just you know what, it's so good to see where the game has gotten to, and the support now that they have behind them, and that's what they've been working towards, all these couple of years, and it's really, really pleasing to see the numbers the numbers that are in now for Sunday, which is really exciting. And it's exactly what the girls deserve. So it's all about now making sure that we put a performance out there worthy of this occasion on Sunday.
Yeah, and speaking of that, has it been a challenge this week, just trying to balance the excitement and really feeding into that excitement of the occasion, but also bearing in mind that there's a big job to be done on Sunday?
Yeah, I think that and we even spoke about it. It's one, they've got to enjoy this occasion. It's like what we said. It's about, this is what we've been looking towards, and looking to, especially the players looking for a crowd like that in the Aviva, and playing in the Aviva in a standalone game. So it's but we have spoken about that performance, and that's what matters for us. And I know that we spoke about on other occasions, like say, times in Twickenham in France, is that looking forward to actually performing on these big occasions, and that's what we've been set out to do, this week. And so, and we've been really focused on that, and making sure that we get our performance right on Sunday.
Hi Dennis, how are you? Just in terms of that, speaking about that occasion, you've obviously been to Twickenham, been to these big games, played in front of these big crowds, where you're kind of looking to upset the party a little bit. Scotland will be out to do that on Sunday, so how do you kind of cope with that?
And they've really they've upset us a few times, and it's not taking them lightly will be one thing. And we looked at areas of the game from last week of how Wales upset our speed of ball, and kind of made things difficult to us. But it's about making sure that we don't, we get that right. We have to get that right on the day, and kind of not looking for excuses on that. So making sure that we focus on what we're able to do in those moments to allow us to play the game, and that's really it. It's about focusing on what we can control, and how we go about doing it.
All the excitement about the occasion, there must be so much confidence, so much momentum after that win over Wales.
Yeah, 100%. It's always nice to have a win leading into the game, but and like you said, it's back having played in those massive occasions like in Twickenham and France, obviously, but there's a lot of confidence going in here, but there's also a lot of eagerness to actually get a performance out there, so, and that's really been a focus, and the girls have trained really, really well this week.
A little bit more pressure on the girls in terms of the crowd that's going to be there, pressure to get the performance, pressure to get the win?
I don't think so. I think the away games is, especially with the Twickenham, there's a pressure there towards the players, but I think they've dealt with that really well now, and I think it's more so just actually enjoying it, and by enjoying it, they've kind of identified it's actually getting their game out there, of actually performing out there and getting their things right and controlling what we can control, and playing on top when we are on top. So I think that's been the focus. I don't think, to be honest with you, they'll be much worried or stress going into this game.
Thanks.
No worries.
Can I just ask you about, three home games, three different venues. If you zoom out a bit, is that also about the growth of the game? Is that about accommodating the appetite and hunger that fans have now for the growth of women's rugby?
Yeah, I think that's the idea, is actually spreading it around the country and trying to get as many people behind us as possible, and that's, the girls have wanted that, is making, get out there and get as many people as possible to get behind the girls, and being able to perform in all those stadiums of what we've done. So it's definitely something that we enjoy doing and getting around, and it's for the foreseeable future, I'd imagine it stays like that.
The bigger the stadium, the bigger the occasion. There are big players who will necessarily respond to that. There are others who might get a little caught in the headlights. Has there been extra work done in the psychology and the mental approach to this weekend?
No, but there's bits that you can throw into training in terms of scenarios that we've done in terms of getting penalties in certain areas of the field and testing them that way. But other than that, no, we haven't gone too much in depth on that. Again, it's I've been saying it quite a bit, but it's making sure we get right what we want to get right on the day.
I presume Twickenham, in a sense, and the full house there will inform the approach to this. Even though it's a home game, the fact that they've played in front of a crowd twice and a half this, I imagine they will have banked that, and you will say, look, I trust these girls implicitly.
100%, and even the girls that are on the bench, we're in a position where it doesn't matter who takes the field now. We have a lot of confidence, and they've a huge amount of growth within the team. But I think even when you look at it back in Twickenham and even in France, is that how quick they started, how they got their game going very quick, and that'll be the idea again on Sunday.
Just one final one from me, and I know you're focused on winning games, but do you sense in terms of the investment in the women's game that there's a recognition now from commerce that this is the big growth area, and that women's rugby and women's sport, to broaden out, is not only here to stay, but it is the new go-to.
Yeah, and I think you see that with the crowd. You're like, this, we're very clear, and let me be very, very clear on this. This is not a once-off for us on Sunday. This is we want to make this, every year where the girls get to perform and get more and more people behind them, and that's the idea about this. We're not looking at this as just a once-off. Let them have their opportunity in the Aviva. This will become a yearly thing, and I think that's what we've been working at. I've been there for the last 4 years, and where these girls have come from and what they've built to right now, and I think they deserve every bit of that. And you'll see this team drive on and even further and get more and more people behind it.